What is going on? And welcome back to another episode of I Coach Nutrition Radio. Today's topic we're going to be diving into is another question coming from my private Facebook group. They wanted to know about how to know what portion sizes work best for them, right? Essentially, how do you know what your portion sizes should look like? When you go to build out a plate, what should those portion sizes be? And I love something that I've used over the years here, which is a very general recommendation. Obviously, it's going to kind of be on a case-by-case basis here. And with the clients that I work with one-on-one, we definitely obviously individualize this. But for those of you that I'm just talking to, generally here, a great rule of thumb that you can look into is what we like to reference as the hand method. All right. And so what this looks like essentially is it'll be different for males versus females, right? And again, sometimes females actually are recommended to eat more food than males. So really, it just depends, right? There are some one-off situations here, but I just want to kind of give this general recommendation because I think it will help the majority of people, okay? So what this looks like is when we start to think about macronutrients, right? AKA proteins, fats, carbohydrates. These are the three different types of food groups, right? These are the food groups that ultimately make up your total calories for the day. All right. And so when you're thinking about going to build out a meal, build out a plate, a way to think about, okay, what should my portion size be for each one of these can go like this. So we'll start off with protein first. So if you think about the palm, right? If I look at the palm here, look at the density of the palm. A great recommendation here for males would be to eat 2 palm-sized portions of protein at every meal that you eat. Okay. And so there for women, what the recommendation would be is to eat 1 palm-sized portion of protein at every meal that you eat. All right. And typically what that breaks down to is if you're looking at this, imagine like a fillet, right? This would be about 3 to 4 ounces. So 2 of these for men, that means about 6 to 8 ounces per meal. And then for women, we're looking at about 3 to 4 ounces per meal. Okay. So that would be protein. All right. Now, when we go into carbohydrates, the way that we would break this down is making a cupped hand. All right. Try to show you all this like on video. So if I was to go and like scoop out rice, right, using a cupped hand, okay, this can be a recommendation for carbohydrates. All right. And so this again, 2 cupped hands of carbohydrates per meal for men, 1 cupped hand of carbohydrates for women. Okay. So that's carbohydrates. Next up, we're going to go into vegetables or fruits. Now, again, vegetables and fruits would fall into the category of carbohydrates, but as y'all know that have followed for a while here, when we go to build an iCoach plate, right, vegetables and fruits are kind of going to get their own category, mainly because you're getting so many vitamins and minerals from vegetables and fruits, as well as you're getting a lot of fiber from vegetables and fruits. And so we encourage you typically, not always, but typically to consume more color than carbohydrates. Color meaning vegetables or fruits or a combination of both. Okay, so that's carbohydrates. So now for fat, right? So we got protein, we got carbs. Now for fat, what we're looking at is we're thinking about a thumb. We're using our thumb here, okay? So for thumbs, that would be basically, if you're looking at the thumb, right? A great indicator of this could be like, a tablespoon or so, right? Maybe a bit more potentially, but 2 thumb-sized portions of fat per meal for men, and then 1 thumb-sized portion of fat per meal for women. Okay. So again, knowing, okay, what are the macronutrients that make up my total calories for the day? Proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. Now knowing, okay, well, what should my portion sizes be of each one of these at each meal? Well, now I know for men, 2 palm-sized portions of protein at each meal there for men, right? 1 palm-sized portion of protein for women. With the carbohydrates, 2 cups hand portions for men, 1 cupped hand portion for women. And then for fat, 2 thumb-sized portions of fat at each meal for men, 1 thumb-sized portion of fat at each meal for women. Now, again, these are super general recommendations, but this can help just kind of the average Joe here or Jane, right? Be able to kind of think about, okay, what should my portion sizes be for the meal that I'm trying to eat here? Now, this is something that, it can work. It can work for some people. To be honest with you, I have actually, I actually recommend and have adopted over the years something that I believe that works even better. And what this is referenced as is the iCoach plate. Now, many of y'all have probably heard me talk about this on this podcast or Facebook, YouTube, social media, like whatever platform you're on there. But I think this one actually works a lot better, which is called the iCoach plate. So if you can visualize your plate, right, you're going to build out a plate. You ask yourself, okay, what protein source am I going to use, right? And so what that would look like now is I'd fill up a quarter of my plate with protein, right? And this would just be generally for men and women. Now, obviously, there's going to be different portion size recommendations here, right? Depending upon a lot of different factors. But again, just generally thinking about your plate. So quarter plate protein, quarter plate carb, half plate color, right? And so color would mean vegetables or fruits or a combination of both, right? And so if you can think about, okay, I'm gonna make it a priority to build out the majority of my meals like an iCoach plate, be able to check the box for each one of those categories. Quarter plate protein, quarter plate carb, half plate color. So now that I know, if I could combine both of those together and say, okay, I know I need to build an iCoach plate. Now, from a portion size standpoint, if I'm a male in that quarter plate, I'm going to do 2 palm-sized portions of protein. Quarter plate carb, I'm going to do 2 cupped hands of carbs. For the half plate color, I'm going to fill up half my plate with vegetables or fruits or a combination of both. And then the thumbs of fat, right? That's you're typically going to get fat in that protein source. Now, the leaner the protein source, the less fat, right? So this could be a situation where maybe you're cooking with an olive oil, right? Or maybe you're adding on avocado or nuts or seeds or something like that. But again, just general example there. And then same thing with the women, right? So that quarter plate protein for the iCoach plate would be 1 palm-sized portion of protein. The quarter plate carb would be 1 cupped hand of carbohydrates, and then filling up half our plate with color, that would still be the same. And then 1 thumb-sized portion of fat. Again, maybe you're getting that already because it's a fattier piece of protein that you're using, like salmon, right? Or maybe you're adding something like avocado or nuts or seeds or the cooking oil that you're using. Okay, so this is just a very simplified approach as to how to know what your portion sizes should be. Taking this up a scale from there would be to actually start weighing your food, measuring your food, logging your food, and starting to build awareness around, okay, how many calories do I need to eat per day based off my goal? Let me start tracking my food so that I can start dialing in my calorie intake and then start dialing in my protein and fat and carbohydrate intake, right? And so that kind of takes it to that next step. But if you're not somebody that wants to weigh your food or measure your food or log your food, this is a very general way for you to be able to kind of eyeball and at least get close as to what your plate should start looking like, and what your portion sizes should start looking like. Okay, awesome. Well, hey, I hope this helps. Thanks again for the question. For those of you that have questions, feel free to join the Facebook group. Ask your questions there when you request to join the group. It'll be one of those questions. Or if you're already in the group, feel free to make a post, ask your question, or if you want to be super private, send me a message. Would love to hear from y'all and answer any questions that you may have. I love turning these questions into this kind of podcast format because, again, if you have the question, there's probably hundreds of other people that have the same question. All right, so it's not just about you. Obviously, this is going to help you and add value to you, but you never know. It might help somebody else as well. Okay, so don't be shy, right? Ask your questions. Your questions allow and kind of create more content for me. I've been doing this for 10 years, so I feel like I've answered every question under the sun. So all of your questions are always welcome, and I'm more than happy to help however I can. All right, awesome. Well, hey, have a great day, have a great week, and until next time, thanks, guys. Bye.